Well, let's have a look at Master Drilling. This is also one of those typical South African companies that is based in South Africa, but this company's got something else. They reported some good results the other day, and they mentioned that they're going to maintain their dividend. But if I look at this stock, look what happened here. And we're going to go back to the weekly chart first. It is still under pressure there, but let's have a look at the weekly chart. And then you will see this is now a typical South African company. They are based in South Africa, but I mean they do a lot of their business overseas, so they are a beautiful rand hedge. Now, what I like about the company is that it had a beautiful base. It was just well, it was just 2 years ago. It was around 1850. Look at this ugly sell-off. I mean, this is now a small cap share, and everybody just started to sell it off. I mean, it was around 1850. Look at these all lower highs that you see. But what we see now is, for the first time now, it broke above its 40-week moving average. Well, there's one problem with this company. It's liquidity. So the liquidity issue is that you mustn't come in and just rush and buy the stock. You must maybe wait for it to pull back a little bit, like these days where somebody wants to sell it all, then you get into it. But don't just rush the price. But I mean, this stock is starting to show some good technicals. Now let's have a look. Why do I say that? There you are. There's the resistance line all the way that keeps the stock under pressure, and that will turn into a positive above 11 rand. Then that line will turn into a support line. Now we know that the support line is a bullish signal to say that maybe the trend can turn around. What I like about this company is, look at this consolidation that we've seen since about October, November last year. Between 10 Rand 34 and 8 Rand 70, the stock was actually finding its feet. And I like that. After such a massive sell-off, a break above the 40-week moving average, and it's on the brink of breaking this long-term, and this is a long-term support line, of resistance line, to turn it into a support. So if you buy, make use of the stop loss. I'm going to give a little bit of a bigger stop loss here, 9 Rand, because of the liquidity. But I think this is one of the kind of stocks that you can maybe put into the drawer. And I mean, their price to earnings ratio is at a 6.8. That is just so low. And the dividend yield is sitting at a 2. So this is maybe the one stock that if you buy it, you must leave it. And you must wait for it for this company to, because remember, they are experts. They're doing a niche field, and the management is good. And the best about the company is that it is a beautiful rand hedge. So what they do is a lot of their money is earned in dollars. Well, let's have a look at another stock. Let's go to Woolworths. Now, Woolworths is also one of those companies that everybody said, listen, this company can never disappoint. Now, what happened? This company did disappoint. And if I look at the stock, let's have a look here. The trend is still clearly to the downside. Let's have a look. A while back, in 2016, it was about 105 Rand. Look what it's doing. It's all the way to the downside. It's not even building on a consolidation. I will say here, let's maybe wait patiently for this line. There's the big resistance line. Let's just draw it in there. Yeah, there you are. This line tells you that the momentum is still clearly to the downside. If I do a line here, let's do that. We can see a falling wedge here. There you are. Now, the 40-week moving average is also still a resistance. So, if you want to buy, I will wait for this resistance line. That line will turn into a support at 50 Rand and 80 cents. I'll make use of a stop loss of 43 Rand and 90 cents. And if it really starts going, it can go to 64 Rand 10 cents. The only fundamental problem with maybe Woolies is that South African, at the local market, the petrol price is hurting some customers. But on the other hand, we know that they're not just in South Africa, they've also got some operations in Australia, and the Australian mining sector is doing quite well. So I will wait for this line to break before I get anxious about it, but the stock is still under huge pressure. The next one is, of course, Aspen. Now, you will find out today that a lot of guys ask about local companies or local listed companies, and Aspen is looking at, it's trying to find its feet, but look at it. If you look at the longer term chart, and remember, this is now one of those companies that everybody said, listen, You can just buy, you can just hold on to it, you can never go wrong. And unfortunately, this was not the case with Aspen. Look at Aspen. I mean, it was, can you believe it? I mean, I'm also surprised here. It was at around 460 Rand in its heydays in 2015. That is, well, you can almost say 4 years back. But look at it. Since then, it just went lower and lower and lower. And the beautiful illustration on this chart is the following. Just have a look here. That's all the lower highs. And I can remember on a previous show I said, I really hope this line holds, because if it breaks, the stock can go much lower. Look at it. There's a classic descending channel, testing lows, and we know by now, when a stock or an index, and it's important to take note of that, if a stock gets a support, and every time that it gets to that support, it bounces off there, but it cannot make new highs. So in actual fact, it cannot go above that level of 321.20 or above that level of 380. As long as it makes lower lows, it's just a matter of time before it's going to break through and confirm that triangle break. And what happened? It fell off a cliff when that level of 247 Rand broke. I mean, it's now at 97.93. And I think we may be too early to say that you can buy Aspen. When a stock looks like this, and it's really under pressure, I usually wait for a consolidation. But there's something else that I would like to see here. I just want to see if there's not maybe a little bit of volume in the making there, that somebody is maybe nibbling on the stock here in the lows. Let's have a look. No, there's no volume. There's the volume spike. I'm looking for something like this, but there's almost no volume. So the big thing is, I think wait for a consolidation before you get into Aspen. Yes, it is maybe attractive at 97.93, but there was a lot of viewers that maybe thought that the stock was attractive at 247 and even at 440 Rand, and now the stock is 97.93 Rand. Let's have a look at another stock that somebody asked about, and that is Mediclinic International. I mean, this company is, let's call it in the Remgro group, and we know that Remgro rarely disappoint. But if I look at the stock, let's just see, it's building on a base, and I like that. After such a massive sell-off, at least it's building on a base. And what do I see? I see something else here. But we can maybe look at the weekly chart here, because I know there's maybe a few guys that would like to buy this stock for a longer term. Let's have a look here. There you are. You can see that I'm looking at an inverse head and shoulder. Let's have a look there. There you are. There's the left shoulder. There's the head. And we're working on the right shoulder. And if it breaks above 61 Rand 51, this neckline, that resistance line, can turn into a support, and it can take the stock higher. Let's get the targets if it really starts to go. There you are. There's the first one. I just want to extend it quickly. There you are. We'll get it now. That is at 64.37, so that's not a big move. But this one is maybe a little bit more interesting. There you are. Can maybe take the stock all the way back to 66.74. But there's something that I would like to show you. What I like about the company is it's this massive build of a base here. That's since about December last year. It did not go lower than this 52 Rand level. It's trading between 52 and 60 Rand. And the other thing is, at least it is attracting some buyers. Now, I always say, when a company consolidates like we're doing here, it tells you that the buyers and the sellers, they're happy. They're happy to buy these prices. We know we as technicians would like to say, oh yes, above that level it can go up, below that level it can go down. But that's not the case when a stock is consolidating for a long time. When a stock consolidates for a long time, the buyers and the sellers, or I usually call it the informed capital, they are happy with these prices and they're happy to sell within this band. So what it tells you, they are happy guys. So if it goes up, I'm happy. Let's have a look here. I would like to take it then to the weekly chart here, because I know there's a few guys that would like to buy this for the medium to the long term and just sitting on the stock because they believe in the management, they believe that Remgro can turn things around, and this is now exactly what I want. There's the low, there's another low, you can call it almost a tiny double bottom here, But then you're sitting on a higher low, and there's the level on a weekly basis. If it breaks above this line, that will be my first signal that there's something maybe on the go here, and that we maybe can see a little bit of a recovery here. Well, there's the level. And there you are, above 62.20. For a long-term investor, it can maybe call for the first one. Let's just put in a 40-week moving average here. I doubt if it broke it by now, but let's have a look. Let's do a 40-week moving average here. It is still way below that. It's still below 71.40. And let's have a look at the past of the stock. And that's why I will say that even with master drilling, now what we've seen now. Oh, another classic double top here. Can you believe it? Around 210. Nobody could believe that the stock can maybe make a double top and break down all the way. I say, if you want to buy the stock for the medium to the long term, I think your first tiny position will be above 62. Let's call it 62 Rand. Make use of a stop loss. It's quite a big stop loss, but I'm going to give you a tighter one just after this. The correct one is 51.86, but I'm going to give you a tighter one, 55.70 or even 53.61. I believe that if things can turn around for this company, you can easily see this company back at maybe 86 Rand in time to come. But the big thing, this line must turn into a support. And the other thing is this 40-week moving average must also turn into a support before you know that the medium to the long-term trend has changed from a downtrend to an uptrend. Thank you so much for watching us. Visit our website www.fransdeklerk.com and please send in those requests to admin@fransdeklerk.com and we will talk again.